Bioethics has been used to study and determine what happens within biology, along with its practices within technology and medicine. As a society, we want to value the rights of any living organism when performing any practices or procedures. With that being said, humans want to actively participate in modifying the genes to fit the needs of the given organism and not intentionally harm their health or environment. In this presentation, we will explain specific organisms that possess the GLOW gene while also providing reasons as to why they have it. We will also discuss the pros and cons of genetic modifications and reach a conclusion at the end to understand why we perform these practices.
According to the MIT study, researchers are genetically engineering plants to express the gene for luciferase, allowing plants to glow. This is done by suspending the particles in a solution, then having the plants immersed in the solution while also being exposed to high pressure. The ultimate goal is to have a way to spray or paint nanoparticles onto plant leaves, making it possible to transform things like trees into light sources. Since lighting accounts for about 20% of worldwide energy consumption, having plants which self-repair and have their own energy, glowing plants seem like an ideal solution.
To make the cats glow, the scientists would insert a feline immunodeficiency virus preventing gene and a fluorescent gene together. The FIV preventing gene produces a restriction factor that resists against AIDS causing viruses. The fluorescent gene is actually used in tandem with the FIV preventing gene for an easy way to monitor the growth of the gene. FIV affects feral cats the most, and there are 500 million feral cats in the world. Cats have a similar genetic makeup of humans, which means this tech is planned to be used for humans in the future as it can prevent diseases such as diabetes by inserting a gene that can make the body produce insulin.
Fish that glow and illuminate light have been genetically engineered to illustrate the inside of its body for researchers. This gene has helped identify problems surrounding this organism. On the other hand, this gene has caused problems, especially within the markets due to the rise of owning a pet glowfish. Oftentimes, the fish that we own aren't permanently stuck in our homes. As a matter of fact, they get released into the ocean, an environment that do not fit the needs of these fish. Their light will cause them to be more vulnerable in the ocean, ultimately decreasing their life expectancy. However, according to the FDA, there is no reason to be concerned about this issue because tropical aquarium fish are not used for food purposes. They also claim that bringing this new product of biotechnology wouldn't affect the environment it's in. Despite all of this, it still brings the conversation about genetically modifying a certain trait that may or may not endure an environment.
As scientists insert mice with compounds containing instructions, the mRNA, to make proteins in fireflies, mice would awake with the gained ability to glow in the dark. Gene therapy is a field of research that usually focuses on modifying DNA, and with the success of having glowing mice would be a huge leap forward in this research. As DNA is altered, causing the modified mRNA to produce the protein desired, although this would not be a permanent alteration as the mRNA transmission yields temporary results. In order to transport the negatively charged mRNA through positively charged cell membranes, scientists used CARTs, also known as charge-altering releasable transporters. CARTs are currently being considered as an alternative to vaccines, as they would hypothetically teach the body to produce its own antigens. Overall, the goal is to apply their technique to another genetic messenger that would produce permanent effects, making it a complementary option to the temporary mRNA therapies.
The advantages of genetically modifying organisms to glow can help improve the quality of life for both humans and other organisms. For example, using the jellyfish gene to make an animal glow can be used in tandem with another genetic modification to monitor the growth of the gene. Being able to monitor the growth of a gene can help get rid of diseases by being able to check if the disease-preventing gene is properly developing, meaning they found a way to properly insert the gene. For plants, they can be used as an alternative to energy-consuming light sources, since plants would have their own energy source. This can reduce the amount of energy we use as a planet and possibly try to help fight against pollution.
The disadvantages of genetic engineering mainly involve harming an environment. Testing on animals for the benefit of human activity can be considered unethical. Testing can cause potential pain on any experimental animal. We shouldn't be minimizing the rights of animals simply because they are not human. They can feel pain and suffering the same as us. This does not give us the right to violate their right to life. Invasive methods, such as an engineered embryo being surgically implanted into a female of the animal, are being used to genetically modify these animals. Due to the animal not being able to give consent or agree to any of the methods used, it may be considered wrong and possibly harmful, as sometimes animals must be used to serve as a sacrifice for the genetic modification to be possible. Lastly, many of these genetically modified embryos will not be able to carry the edited gene and typically won't survive for an extended period of time. By constantly adding genes that are being forced to survive, the chances and likelihood of the edited gene to be carried on is low. Natural selection is the reason as to why the genes that exist in organisms are thriving, since it's the survival of the fittest. The traits we see naturally exist to thrive, unlike the modified gene.
One controversy is how glowing animals are being modified and sold for profit. For example, when Yorktown Technologies genetically modified a fluorescent fish called the glowfish, an altered variety of zebrafish and modified black tetrafish. As scientists genetically modified these fish to have more colorful versions of themselves, this eventually became a popular aquarium item as millions were sold. Another controversy is the risk of glowing animals being released back into the wild. Because pet fish are released when owners no longer want them, this puts them at a risk for certain ecosystems. If a glowfish were to be released, the fluorescence in the glowfish may give them an unfair advantage or a disadvantage as they forage for food in their roles as prey and predator. No one really knows the long-term impact of glowfish since they haven't been around too long. In addition, breeding between escaped glowfish and native fish could weaken and negatively affect the native fish species in future generations.
As a team, we strongly believe that making animals glow and other genetic modifications should be done. The potential of it outweighs its potential consequences due to the ways it can be used. With more research and testing, this can help aid the survival of many animals, plants, and even people. We believe that it should be heavily regulated to prevent the abuse of genetic modification.